We're just about 17 hours away from the high-octane India versus Australia Champions Trophy semi-final clash at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Well, obviously, India would want to continue their spin domination in the 8-team tournament, while Australia, on the other hand, would want to maintain their reputation of performing in the big stages of an ICC mega event. Now, this is not the first time that India and Australia are going to face off in a Champions Trophy match. Well, it has happened before, happened on multiple instances. And what were the results of them? Who in fact leads the head-to-head record? Well, let's just have a look here. Well, first of all, India versus Australia in a Champions Trophy game took place for the first time in 1998. India won that match by 44 runs, and at that time the Champions Trophy was known as the International Cup. So without really going much into the details of the match report or who really performed on that particular day, let's just see what the impact of this match had on the final result of the Champions Trophy of both teams. Well, India basically knocked Australia out of the competition. They progressed to the semi-finals, but then they lost that match to West Indies in the final four. So for India, obviously it was a good thing that they knocked Australia out of the competition in a match that was played in Dhaka, but then India also could not really progress beyond the semis. But here it's India 1 and Australia 0. Moving on, India made it 2-0 in 2000 when the Champions Trophy was renamed to the ICC Knockout Trophy. You began with International Cup in 1998, then in 2000 it got renamed to Knockout Trophy, and that's where India gathered a 2-0 lead when they won that match by 20 runs. And what was the impact? Obviously, once again, India knocked Australia out of the competition. They moved to the semis. They won that match against South Africa. This tournament was obviously held in Kenya and Nairobi, but India lost the final to eventual champions New Zealand, who obviously went on to win the ICC Knockout Trophy 2000. So, but clearly, as far as the India versus Australia record goes, India 2, Australia 0 so far. Now let's move on to 2006 when Australia sealed their first win over India in the Champions Trophy. And this was a very important match for India's fortunes because first of all, this tournament was held in India. India won their opening game against England, lost to West Indies, and the match against Australia was a do-or-die for them. And in this case, India lost to Australia by 6 wickets, courtesy brilliant batting by former Australian batter Damien Martyn. But then India, with this loss, they were knocked out of the competition. They were eliminated. And with that, Australia made it 1-2. So Australia 1 and India 2 so far. And last but not the least, what basically the 2009 washout did was that India managed to consolidate their lead, but then this washout did prove to be very costly for India. Now this game took place in Centurion. Australia were around about 230 odd for 4 with about 7 overs left, but then rain played spoil sport and it also hurt India's chances of qualifying for the semi-finals. India had lost their tournament opener to Pakistan and their second game against Australia was washed out. They won against West Indies, but then it wasn't really enough as India were eliminated from the competition. So as far as the head-to-head record goes, India currently lead it with 2 wins. Australia have 1 win, while the 2009 Centurion game was a washout. And now who will really take the lead in Dubai? Well, that remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, that this match is basically going to be another chapter in the rivalry of India versus Australia, beat across any format. So stay tuned to Sports Today as we'll bring you all the latest updates and analysis from the sporting world. Until then, on behalf of my producer Sankalp, it's Siddharth Gulati saying goodbye.